Hello, and welcome to the Participation Rate Appeals webinar for ISAT and IDAA. This is a recorded training, and the recording date is May 28th of 2026. This training will be reviewed and updated regularly to reflect any changes to the Participation Rate Appeal guidelines and related information. My name is Yemen Self, and I am a program specialist for the Idaho Department of Education Assessment and Accountability Department. I oversee the participation rate appeals for ISAT and IDAA, so please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. My information is included as part of this slide. This webinar presentation is available on our public SharePoint site and on the landing page of the Participation Rate Appeals application portal. You can access the portal through the link provided as part of this slide. It is important to point out that the Participation Rate Appeals window is only about a week long, and it usually takes place in the middle of July, from a Monday to the next Monday. This year, the appeals window will run from July 13th through July 20th. Since the appeals window is short, please feel free to reach out to the department with questions before submitting your appeal to ensure that all requests are processed within the required timeframe. Appeals with insufficient or missing documentation will be returned to the district with a request for additional information that must be resubmitted within that 1 week's window. Please note that SDE denies appeals submitted for parental opt-out or student refusal. This is due to Idaho does not permit parent opt-out for state assessments, so this situation does not need to be submitted as an appeal. If the student did not participate in testing due to their parents opting out, the student will be recorded as a non-participant. Please be aware that non-participants are included in the school's participation rate calculation. If you have any questions about participation rate implications, please contact the Assessment and Accountability Department. So, how to obtain access to the application? If you do not have access to the appeals application, you will need to contact your district's technology coordinator to gain the Accountability Appeals Coordinator role in the admin tool to access this application. To update students' demographics or enrollment information, please contact your district's IC coordinator. The appeals application will not accept this type of changes. Regarding school assignment, the department uses students' enrollment data and exit dates reported through IC and stored in the SLDS to determine which school is accountable for a student. If a student tests at a school where they are not enrolled, the test results are assigned to the school where the student was officially enrolled on the date of testing, based on enrollment and data submitted through IC by the district or charter school. If a student is dually enrolled within or across districts on the testing date and participated in all required tests, the department assigns the results to the school at which the student took the corresponding tests. When assigning test results to the most appropriate school, the department applies the following exclusion rules. Dual enrolled students, private or homeschool. The department excludes results matched to the enrollment record submitted via IC on which the district or charter school identified the student as private or homeschool in the IC PH school field. The department also excludes the results for private or homeschool students from the proficiency rate calculations. It is important to know that students with disabilities who have been placed in a private facility or a homebound setting by their individualized education plan do not fit in this category. Also, students who are dually enrolled between Idaho public schools, including Idaho Digital Learning Academy, do not fit this category. For other exceptions include first year's limited English proficiency students. All English learners are exempt one time from participating in the ELA literacy assessment during their first 12 months of enrollment in a U.S. school. The department excludes ELA literacy results matched to the enrollment records submitted via IC from the participation rate calculation for those students whose date of first enrollment in the U.S. school in the English Learner Management System, or ELMS, is between May 2nd of 2025 and May 1st of 2026. The department also excludes the results for exempt English learners from the ELA literacy proficiency rate calculations. Also, foreign exchange students. The department excludes results matched to the enrollment records submitted via IC on which the district or charter school identifies the student as entering a foreign exchange student with a 4A code in the IC district entry type field. These students may have a J1 Exchange Visitor Program visa issued by the U.S. Department of State. The department also excludes the results for foreign exchange students from the proficiency rate calculations. Foreign international students paying their own tuition or students immigrated from another country do not fit this category. Now we'll review assessment participation definitions, participation versus, or a participant versus a non-participant. So participation is based on a valid scoring criteria, not simply logging into the test. So the department considers only those students who receive a valid score and achievement level as participants. If a student took the same test multiple times, the department considers the first recorded score to be valid. For the ELA literacy and mathematics ISATs, all tests with at least one CAT item and one PT item answer received a valid score. Special rules apply for alternate assessments. For IDAA, those students whose test administrator or proctor apply the early stopping rule due to lack of consistent observable responses receive a valid score. So this section of the guide and the training will be updated next school year as we move to implementing dynamic learning maps for the alternate assessment. Non-participant is if a student did not participate in testing, the department considers the student a non-participant. The department may consider a student who participated in testing a non-participant for the participation rate calculation purposes if the department processed an invalidation request submitted by the district or school, or if the test was not scored, or if the student took the IDAA when the student did not have an active IEP on the testing date. In addition, students who took an off-grade test according to the tested grade and enrollment grade submitted via IC. For submitting the appeals, we encourage the districts and schools to track their appeals and download their finalized data to capture any information that they would like to retain. For accessing and submitting appeals, go to the Assessment Participation Appeals application. You can find the hyperlink on this slide. Sign into the application by clicking on the Log On button at the top of the page. Contact your district technology coordinator to gain Accountability Appeals Coordinator roles in the admin tool if you do not have access to this application. Please keep in mind that if the main application menu on your screen looks slightly different than the one on this training, this could be due to the role utilized when logging into the application. For multiple district users, if your login credential is associated with multiple districts, make sure to click on the Change District button at the top of the page to select the district needed. To create an appeal, please follow the steps outlined as part of this slide. Unfortunately, I was not able to obtain the step-by-step screenshots mentioned on this slide due to, at the time of this training recording, the appeals window was still closed. Therefore, the current application will not display the steps under the appeals button until the appeals window opens for this year. But no worries, I will obtain screenshots once the appeal window opens for 2026 to update this training for the 2026-2027 school year appeal and provide a detailed step-by-step training on how to create an appeal. The table on the screen lists the available appeal reasons and their description. If none of the appeal reasons or evidence available apply to your appeal, you can select the non-applicable appeals reason option. The other appeals reason option refers to an IDAA error, and the long-term medical absence option can be selected when the appeal is due to an illness, injury, or medical condition that results in the student being unable to attend school for the entirety of the testing window. Please note that this appeal reason can only be approved by SDE if the student was absent for the entirety of the testing window. So if the student attended school a few days here and there during the testing window, SDE will not approve the appeal, as the requirement for this approval or for approval under this category refers to the entirety of the testing window. After selecting a reason, you will need to provide detailed justification to explain the appeal. This step is a requirement. You will also need to click on the Upload Evidence button to upload the supporting documentation, as supporting documentation for your appeal is required. And finally, you will need to click the Submit Appeal button to process the appeal. It is important to note that students with anxiety disorders are not exempt from assessments. Let's discuss a few common questions regarding appeal reasons. For example, can I appeal a student who was absent for the entirety of the state assessment window because of a medical reason? Yes, with a copy of a doctor's note as official written documentation, you can appeal. You can upload the documentation as part of your appeal. Another question could be, can I appeal a student who dropped out, withdrew, or was expelled prior to May 1st of 2026? The answer for this is yes. If the exit date is verified by enrollment records submitted via IC or appropriate documentation is attached to address an IC error, students with disabilities who are expelled but continue to receive special education and related services must participate in testing. Another question could be, can I appeal a student who faced an extenuating circumstance, such as a death in the family, fire, car accident, etc.? Unfortunately, no, this is not an appealable reason. While we understand that unforeseen circumstances arise for students and it is not in their best interest to take the assessment, we ask that you plan for this type of extenuating circumstances to be a part of the 5% flexibility of participation percentage. Next question, can I appeal a private or homeschool student regardless of whether the student received instruction in ELA literacy, math, and science? Yes, as long as the private or school status is verified by enrollment records submitted via IC, the department automatically excludes results. Can I appeal a student who is considered a first-year English learner? There is no need to submit an appeal for this population. If IC enrollment information within each IC web application accurately and consistently reflects the student's EL status, the department automatically excludes results matched to the enrollment records reported via IC for those students whose date of first enrollment in U.S. school in English Learner Management System is between May 2nd of 2025 and May 1st of 2026. All English learners are exempt one time from participating in the ELA literacy assessment during their first 12 cumulative months of enrollment in a U.S. school. Please note that English learners are not exempt from taking the math and science ISAT or IDAA. Can I appeal a foreign exchange student? Yes. If the entry reason is verified by enrollment records submitted via IC, the department automatically excludes results matched to the enrollment records reported via IC, where the student is identified as entering foreign exchange student 4A in the IC district entry type field. Can I appeal a student who received instruction in ELA, literacy, math, and science from another public school in Idaho? No. The assignment for a non-participant is to the school of earliest enrollment. To get the most accurate state count of participation, we ask that you ensure all students are being tested by working with the LEA in situations of dual enrollment. Can I appeal a student who refused to participate or who clicked through the test? No, this is not an appealable reason. Can I appeal a student whose parents refused testing or who opt out? No, also not an appealable reason. This slide lists the different appeal statuses and provides a detailed description of each status. Under the Appeals tab, appeal students will appear first, showing the status of their appeal, followed by the students that have not been appealed. The status and definitions in this table are pretty self-explanatory, but let's quickly review the important points. For example, an appeal that is showing in a return status will require quick action, as this means that the department has returned the appeal to the submitter due to insufficient documentation or information. Until the appeal with sufficient documentation or information is resubmitted, reviewed, and approved by the department, the student will remain in the denominator for the calculation of participation rate. Please know that return appeals will need to be resubmitted within the appeals window. Non-participation status. Some students may be considered non-participants, even if they participated in testing. This slide displays a list of non-participant statuses and their description. So let's review. Not tested, student was not tested. Invalidated test means that the student was tested, however, the district, school, or state submitted an invalidation request and the assessment was invalidated. For more information, you can refer to the ISAT test incident quick guide, and the hyperlink is located on this slide. Incomplete test. Student did not complete the test to receive a valid score. Not eligible for alternate assessment. So this means that the student took the IDAA, however, the student did not have an active IEP on the testing date, according to the special education records submitted via IC. Off-grade tests for ELA, literacy, and math. Student was tested, however, the testing grade and enrollment grade submitted via IC do not match. If you have any questions regarding a non-participation status, you can reach out to the department for assistance. This slide provides additional resources such as the Assessment Data Export application. This application allows users to download student-level test results. The link to access this application is included as part of this slide. Another resource included in this slide is the reporting system on the Idaho portal. This application provides more detailed analysis of each student's ELA and mathematics ISAT scores. Now let's review a few examples of common questions regarding the appeals application. For example, what are my login credentials? You will have to contact your district technology coordinator to gain the Accountability Appeals Coordinator role in the admin tool to access the assessment participations appeal applications, as we spoke about this earlier on this presentation. What should I do when the site shows a runtime error? You can try to clear the browser cache and try to access the site again. If this does not resolve the issue, you can contact the Idaho State Board of Education IT Support Desk. The information is included on this slide. What should I do when the site shows an upload error and you cannot upload your document? The document might be larger than the maximum allowable size of 4 megabytes. Please save the document in some other format and then try to re-upload it. If this does not solve the issue, you can also contact the Idaho State Board of Education IT Support Desk for further assistance. Where can I find last year's participation rate? You can find this information by visiting the report card. If you require further assistance, please contact the Assessment and Accountability Department. The information is included on this slide. What should I do when the results are not properly displayed in the application? Contact the Assessment and Accountability Department. The results may not have been matched to the enrollment records based on the EDU ID available to the department. That is all for this training. Thank you for watching this recording. For any questions or support regarding ISAT and IDAA participation rate appeals, please do not hesitate to contact me. My information is listed on this slide and at the beginning of the presentation. Thank you again.